Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So welcome back to GLAMAS. So this is my series that I have started this December, and it is just basically various amount of Christmas looks for this month all the way up to Christmas Day. So today I have decided that I am going to do a snowflake inspired makeup look with some blues and a little bit of snowflakes all around the face. And yeah, if you want to see how I created this snowflake inspired makeup look, then keep on watching.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see.
So for primer today, I'm going to be using the Morphe foundation primer. It is always important that you prime because it is the base for everything that you're going to be putting on your face. So what I just like to do, I like to dot it around places that I usually get cakier. So underneath my eyes and on my chin, on my upper lip, and on my forehead. So for foundation today, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Poreless foundation in the shade 310. And I'm just going to be dotting it around my face. So what I did is I just put the foundation on this metal plate right here, and I'm going to take my finger and just dot it around my face. So now that the foundation is all dotted around my face, I'm going to be taking my Morphe Beauty Blender and just blending it out. I'm going to be taking my concealer. This is from E.l.f. and it's the Hydrating Camo Concealer, and I'm going to be using the shade Medium Neutral. And I'm going to just start concealing my blemishes on my face. Now with my beauty blender, I'm just going to blend everything out. I like to save my eyes for last because the product kind of gets to sit there a little bit and it'll be much thicker when I try to go smoothing it out. For this part, I like to blend this out in like a circular motion, kind of like ovaled. This is the trick that the makeup artist that does Kim Kardashian's makeup does. His name is Makeup by Mario on Instagram, and he just does this technique so there's like a natural highlight on the face. Now for my under eyes, I'm just gonna blend this with tapping motions, and I'm just gonna be blending it upward. So now I think I'm gonna get started on my eyes before I finish the rest of my face. I'm going to be taking that same concealer and I'm just gonna do a little dot on my eyes, and then I'm just gonna take my Morphe Beauty Blender and I'm gonna just start dabbing that into place as a primer for my eyeshadow. So I think for today I'm going to be using both of these palettes. So this one is a Morphe X James Charles palette, the mini, and this one's the 35i Icy Fantasy from Morphe. So I think I'm gonna go in with this one first. For today's look, I'm kind of going for like the blues in this palette. Just because I kind of want it to be a little bit more icy. So what I'm thinking of is going into this shade right here called Brother. And I'm going to be taking my Morphe M506. I'm going to just tap off the SX. I'm just going to tap this color into my crease very softly. I'm just using tapping motions for this. I'm not really doing no windshield wipe motions right now. I just want to get the color in there. So now going in with my M456, I'm going to be dipping into the shade Playground. Just going to be tapping off all the extra eyeshadow that's on the brush. And I'm just going to take the brush and just start doing circular motions around the eye. I'm also going to be putting this shade directly above the shade Brother that we used earlier. Now back with my M506, I'm going to be dipping into the shade Brother and Playground. And I'm just going to be putting it back onto the crease to just bring back a little bit of depth in there. Now to finish with the blending part, I'm going to be going in with my 35i Morphe palette. And I'm going to be dipping into this shade right here. This is called Into the Blue. And I'm just going to tap it in there. I'm going to just blend it upward. This is going to give it a little bit more of that gradient effect. Now to cut my crease, I'm going to be taking a Q-tip and my Maclaire water. I still don't know how to say this, but whatever, we're just gonna call it Maclaire. I'm going to be using this Maclaire water and a Q-tip, and I'm going to be cutting my crease. What I'm gonna do is that I'm kind of just gonna drag it across my lid, and as you can see, it's kind of starting to remove the eyeshadow. This step also gives it a sharper cut when you start finishing up your eyeshadow. It makes a big difference at the end. So now that I have cut my crease with the water, I'm going to be using just a random flat brush, and my concealer, I'm going to be patting it on top. So now going back into my 35i Icy Fantasy palette, I'm going to be taking this shade right here on a Morphe 224. And I'm just going to tap it in there. The shade is called a Whiteout. And I'm just going to start putting it in the beginning of my crease. Now going back into my James Charles palette, I'm going to be taking the brush M508 by Morphe, and I'm going to be dipping into the shade Playground again, and I will just start packing the shade right next to the white. Now with the same brush, I'm going to be dipping into the shade Cola, which is the second darkest blue in the palette, and I'm just going to be packing that right next to Playground. Now to blend both of those shades together, I'm going to be taking my Morphe M506 in the shade Brother in this palette and just start blending those two shades together. So I'm going to just do windshield wipe motions right here. So there is a difference. Like this shade, you can kind of see that it's starting to like be a gradient. And this shade, it's kind of like patchy and everything. So that's why I like to go in the center of both of those shades with the shade that's supposed to be in the middle of the color scheme. And just windshield wipe them together. So now I'm going to start drying on the snowflakes with my NYX white liner. This is where I have to be kind of careful because I could ruin this makeup all in one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the liner and I'm gonna just start drawing on the snowflake. So I kind of want one on this side of my eye. So what I'm gonna do is carefully draw a straight line. I'm gonna draw one that intersects with it. So I just drew a T. Now I'm gonna draw an X in between the T very carefully. I'm going to be taking this liner on an M250 by Morphe, and I'm gonna just tap it in there lightly, and I'm gonna just start drawing arrows on every single one of the lines on the snowflake. So this is what I ended up with. Now I'm just going to be drawing on a few more snowflakes going around my eyes and maybe some coming off of my eye. I'll figure it out and I will be right back. This is what I did off camera. I just added a snowflake on each side. I did a white little board and I started adding dots on my eyelids to treat them as snowflakes too. So now I'm just going to be bronzing up my face. I'm going to be using the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer medium deep and my Real Techniques contour brush. And I'm just going to start placing it where I want it. I'm just going to put some on my cheeks, bringing it up to my temple and then connecting that into my forehead. So for blush today, I'm going to be using more of a pinky toned blush. This one's by Milani. It's in the shade Tea Rose. Taking a blush brush, so I'm just gonna tap it in there and I'm just going to apply this on the apples of my cheeks, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on my nose. So I'm just gonna get started on my lower lash line before I finish up the rest of my face. So I'm gonna be using the Nikita Morphe palette. Before I start anything, you guys are really sleeping on this palette. Like, for one, look at the packaging. Like, this is gorgeous. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip into the shade Nasty, just one tap, and dip into the shade Vasengan, and I'm gonna just start applying that onto my lower lash line. I'm kind of gonna be like smudging this out. Now to blend this out, I'm going to be going back in with my Morphe M506 and going into the shade Playground and Brother, and I'm gonna just start blending out the bottom lash line. Now going back in with the same brush, I'm going to be dipping into the shade Euphoria and I'm just going to be placing it directly onto my brow bone. Now to highlight my face, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Ultimate Glow Kit. I'm going to be taking a random brush and I'm going to be dipping into the shade Snow. As you guys can tell, I use this palette a lot. And I'm just going to start highlighting the points of my face. So I'm going to put this highlighter right here on top of my blush, and I'm gonna bring it upward. Now with that same brush, I'm going to be dipping into the shade Euphoria from the 35i palette, and I'm gonna be placing this directly on top of the highlighter, just to give it a little bit more of that icy blue effect. And I'm also just gonna be putting this on my Cupid's bow. And with that same Euphoria shade and my M152, I'm just gonna be placing that into my inner corner. Now going back in with the white liner, I'm just going to start drawing a few more snowflakes on my temples and my highlighter, and I will be right back. So now I'm just going to be curling my lashes, and I'm going to be using the same mascara that I always use, the Maybelline Lash Sensational Curvitude Mascara in the shade Very Black. This is the final look. I just added on some lip gloss on top of my lips, no lipstick or anything. And I am honestly obsessed with this. I don't usually wear blue eyeshadow, so this is like my second time experimenting with blue eyeshadow, but I had so much fun creating this look today. Thank you so much for watching me create this snowflake inspired makeup look today. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave it down in the comment section below. And if you don't want to miss out on any more videos, please press the subscribe button and join the fam. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!